Tonight's meeting the pledges will be led by our Howard Elementary's third grade student, William Rios. Just a little bit about William. He is a go-getter. He works hard both in and out of school. He is polite to everyone and is quick to share a smile. When we asked our staff to describe William, they said he is a well-rounded young man that is a joy to have at heart. And a fun fact about William is he recently earned his first degree black belt in Taekwondo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
As I hope our community knows by now, because we sent out a lot of communication on it, it is they are elected volunteer community members that serve our district from a government perspective. They are instrumental in serve our students. We're deeply grateful for the personal and professional sacrifices they make to ensure that our students in Lovejoy and Speed can absolutely outstanding. So for all of that sacrifice, all of that time, we want to say how grateful we are to each of you. We started a new tradition a couple of years ago, and that tradition is we invite the Lovejoy Visual Arts program to come and share their gifts and talents with us and represent our gratitude and our appreciation for our school board members in the form of art, which is very fitting because our Lovejoy Visual Arts program does a remarkable job of just capturing all that is humanity in what they create and speed and energy and dedication they put into it. It's like nothing truly I've ever seen before. We are so proud of this program. So proud of our students and proud of how they utilize their different talents to show gratitude to our school board. So we can't wait to hear from them and hear a little bit more about what they have done. So we have Mr. McCaslin here and Ms. Rivera here and some other students, and they're going to share a little bit about this project this year and what it represents.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bryce McCaslin, and I am the K-12 Visual Art Coordinator for Lovejoy ISD. It's always a privilege to be here. I am incredibly proud, not only to be a part of this school district, but to feel like I'm a part of this community. And I personally think that what we have here is an incredibly special place, and it comes with very, very special ideals and what I would call a credo. And for us, in the visual art, I said this earlier at dinner, we believe very deeply that leadership and service go hand in hand, and all of our student leaders participate in that, and they participate in that through mentoring our younger students, and they participate in that in the giving of their gifts. And being a visually creative group of people, it's an incredible gift to be able to give back. And we've tried to practice this in numerous ways. And this year, the way that we're doing that is we had an idea that in order to celebrate service for our school board members, because that the day-to-day of what they do in order to make this place what it is and to give to our community and make decisions that are the best decisions for not only our students, but our schools and the community at large. It's an incredible giving, and it's an incredible service. And it's also a sacrifice, and there's beauty in that. There's beauty in being able to give of yourself and to share it with others. And so first, let me say thank you to all of you for the time, the energy, your skill set, the really deep commitment and level of belief that you have in this place and us as teachers and our students as well. It comes through in everything that you do, the easy decisions and the hard ones, and we appreciate that greatly. This gift was meant to be a symbol, and it's meant to be a reminder of that service. And so for us as a program, one of the ways that we really build community and one of the ways that we serve each other is through food and to be around each other and to break bread at the table. And that's where we learn about each other, and that's where we become more trustworthy, and we build what I deem as one of the best communities that I know of. And so we created bowls, and around those bowls are quotes from every single campus. And so we asked students to voluntarily tell stories or give quotes on people that have served them, people that have blessed them, whether it be through action or time. And some of those ideas of service, a kindergartner's idea of service is way different than a high school senior, but it's no less beautiful because the student that talks about somebody helping them when they fell on the trampoline, meant a lot to them just as much as it does the senior that talks about how they had reached a point where they didn't know if they could go on, and one of their teachers, like Miss Rivera, would reach out and help them. It's a beautiful picture of that idea that we are stronger together. And I think that you guys show us that and lead us that by example in the way that you work with each other and the things that you do for our community and school. Now, the hope is that every time you get that down to have food and to share a table with your friends and family, that you would remember that your service is a beautiful thing and we appreciate it. And that time that you have both here and at home is something that we all appreciate. And we hope that you really enjoy not just the use of this, but the reminder of all the time, the gifts that you give. Now, the side to this story is that the wooden serving utensils are made from wood that was given to me by a former student. And that's another thing that I think that all of you on the board do an incredible job of is you're trying to build legacy and community for us as a district. And so that idea of having a place that everybody wants to come back to and having an experience that people want to share and tell other people about. And so I was more than excited when our former student, Ben Wortham, had this walnut that he brought to me, and it was a perfect place for me to hand that off to Miss Rivera and have her students carve the wood. The last picture of this idea of community and unity and people working together, Miss Rivera did an incredible job of having her students pair up and come up with a design that would partner. And so each one of the utensils is made by hand, carved from a flat 1-inch by 8-inch plank of walnut that I don't know how old it is. It was found in a barn, and so that could be older than all of us. But again, it's that hope that you understand that things are only better together. We appreciate all of your time. We appreciate your service. You are absolutely a clear picture of living Lovejoy, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Absolutely. I expect
Nearly impossible. We got it. Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our district, children, our families. Lord, I just pray that you would give us wisdom and discernment. We give thanks for these gifts of appreciation for our kids and our school leaders. And we just humbly serve our district and serve. Pray this in our notification items, item 9 are in your book. Questions about any of that? All right. Item 10 is the consent agenda. Anything you would like pulled, review, or discussion in our consent agenda? Isn't the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item 11 and 9 is our celebration of learning. Dr. Tinsley.
Good evening. Tonight, we are going to be spotlighting our career and technology education and talking about some of our pathways that we offer our students and our programs of study. And we begin this, it doesn't start in high school, it starts at the middle school. So I'm going to ask Mary Mullen to come forward. She is our Director of Assessment and Accountability and Secondary Education. And I just want to compliment the work Mary has been leading the last couple of years, assuming this responsibility of our career and technology education and programming. She's done a phenomenal job and offering we are able to offer some incredible courses for our students. So.
Thank you. As Dr. Tinsley said, we're here to celebrate the work that Willow Springs Middle School is doing in exposing our students to all the career possibilities that are out there through our CTE programming. So, here's a short agenda of what I'll be speaking about. First, defining what is CTE, what career clusters and programs of study we are currently offering, and then what the work is with the exploration of the career and college pathways and the Willow Spring campus. So when you think of CTE or career and technical education, you might think of vocational education. That's what it was when I was in high school. The girls took home ec and the boys did FFA or maybe wood shop, right? Well, over the years, it has expanded quite a bit and a shift has been made to what really, if you focus in on workplace and furthering education. So it's become more of a developing career pathways that students can carry on throughout into secondary education. It doesn't stop at high school, though there still are possibilities of that, but it's furthering their education. Go ahead. The state has a listing of 14 different career clusters that LEAs may choose to provide in their school district. Out of the 14, the ones that are bolded here are the ones that Lovejoy currently offers. So we offer 9 different career clusters. Within each career cluster are what's called programs of study. And these programs of study are a coherent sequence of courses that ideally end with probably their junior year, sometimes their sophomore year. They'll take a certification exam. And then what we like them to do, and we prepare them for, is to go out into the workplace to get some real hands-on work-based learning experiences in their last year of high school. So there are 53 different programs of study that that the state of Texas school districts can possibly offer. Our district, with a high school our size, is only required to offer 3. we actually offer 12 different programs of study. So that's pretty good for a district our size. And this past year, the state has undergone a refresh of the programs of study every 4 years. They look at them to keep them current. And there's some really new and exciting programs of study that have been added to the list that we'll be adding at the high school, including some engineering pathways, some marketing pathways, and some financial services. So we're pretty excited about our new offerings. As I mentioned, ideally at the end of a pathway, the students would take a certification exam. What the certification exam does is provide students with a certificate indicating that they have mastered the academic and the technical skills of the program. It makes them much more marketable. And if you talk to people in the workplace, they'll tell you it's not so much about them getting the certificate, it's the grit and the study and the work they have to do to achieve and get that certificate. So they are really appreciated in the workplace. And you'll see that they do provide a validation of the skills with immediate value, and they're stackable. So in our business information management courses, students can take several different exams in Microsoft or in graphic and design. They can take several different exams in Adobe. Health science, they take a clinical exam, and then they can also take exams down different pathways such as patient care technician, pharmacy tech, EMT, rehab aid. So there's lots of different opportunities for our students. And where does it all start? It really starts in middle school. We have 9 different courses in middle school that lead directly to pathways in the high school. They're listed here, and it starts out with the exploration class, which we have entitled Future Ready Leadership. I'm really happy and thankful to Ms. Cordell and to Dr. Tinsley that next year we will be offering the career and college exploration course to all 7th graders. So they will get exposure to what's really out there. And it's just not career, it's also colleges. I thought I'd add some pictures of things that are going on at Willow Springs because there's a lot going on. In the upper left-hand corner is the design and modeling class. These students here are working on wood, creating an iPhone stand for their phones, their cell phones. You'll see there. And then over on the right-hand side here, students are actually making ice cream. And then at another time, they were making yogurt. And you'll see in towards the middle at the top, that's actually sheep's brain. In the medical detectives course, they will be dissecting a sheep's brain, which some of them are contaminated with diseases, and they must identify what the disease is. I can't wait to go and visit a class when they do that. So the kids should be pretty excited about that. The other one you'll see is a rocket ship, and that's one of the courses that I would like to highlight tonight, and that is our flight and space course. In our flight and space course, the students work with flight simulators. You'll see here what that control apparatus looks like. And then over here at the bottom, we have the actual, what it would look like in a cockpit. And so it recreates a realistic 3D environment for the students. They learn a lot about the physics of flight, and they go on a bunch of missions, 10 to be exact. Here is the different phases of the students' work up to the most advanced phase. First of all, they have to learn how to control the drones. They then fly through obstacle courses. So there could be an opportunity where you maybe saw them in the hallways driving their drones through an obstacle course. And then the most advanced phase is them actually running missions or a search and rescue or learning how to do product delivery. So that is our flight and space course, and that leads right into the career cluster, transportation, distribution, and logistics. This is the pilots and aviation operations program of study. And last year, I stood in front of you and asked you to approve an innovative course for the unmanned aerial vehicle flight course. And it's been very successful. Students are loving it at the high school. And it's so popular now here in Texas that the state actually moved it from a regional program of study to a state. So any school district can now participate and offer the drone pathway. You don't have to be in certain regions to be able to offer it any longer. Career connections are listed here. And the salary data is taken from salary.com and ZipRecruiter. The range is quite large. It's based on the area of the state, the experience, certifications, and that type of a thing. Any questions? Here, Jason.
When we're determining which pathways we offer, and I saw that we offer a lot for our size district, how are we determining which programs we're offering and which we're not, and talk a little bit about how we've gotten to where we are and what you perceive for growth in the future?
Right. So one of the requirements for CTE teachers is to have an advisor. So they have a business advisor that works with them to provide them with advice on what is currently happening in the area and make suggestions on what should be offered. So there is an advisory meeting. Additionally, we do look at the data that we receive from Texas Workforce for our area. And if you go onto TA's website, they have done mapping of what jobs are currently becoming more and more popular and more openings in those areas. And also it provides you with information on where it's going in the future, where different openings may be in the future too. So we look at Texas Workforce and advisory of our business leaders in the area.
Funding, I'm assuming, and then, or is it demand-based, or is it all of those all the stars aligning? Is that really what?
It is. Some programs are much more expensive to run, like culinary would be very expensive for us too, because there's a lot of equipment, there's just the facilities and that type of thing. It would be a huge investment. And then we also have to have student interest. The students are not shy about talking to their CTE teachers about what programs that they would like to see offered. And several new programs that we are offering are based on feedback that we receive from the students. And then almost the entire last year, we had a survey in the high school newsletter to parents and students to fill out what they might want to see offered. We saw over and over CAD and so we are offering that pathway for the first time. It's actually part of the mechanical and aerospace engineering pathway. So we're offering introduction to CAD and intermediate CAD.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you for that presentation. Item 12 tonight, Ms. Cordell, is to consider and take possible action on the Hart Elementary School principal.
Thank you. This evening, we are bringing forward a recommendation for the Hart Elementary School principal. That name will probably seem familiar to you because it is Mrs. Shannon Acosta, who is currently serving as our interim principal at Hart Elementary School. And as I thought would happen, she spent some time over there and fell in love with the staff, the students, and really the community, because how could you not in Lovejoy? But what I love about Miss Acosta, in addition to her vast experience, she has 14 years experience as a elementary school principal and 23 years total in education. But one thing I love about her is whatever she does, she is all in. And she has been all in over at Hart, and very quickly realized that she would want to pursue the principalship over there. And quite some time ago, whether she was going to be in that position or not, had already started thinking about collaborating and dreaming about the things that could come next for Hart for the students and the staff. So we are very pleased to be bringing this strong recommendation to you all for a principal of Hart Elementary School, and we would be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Not a question, just a comment. I've received a couple of different feedbacks, unsolicited, that were very appreciative and supportive of the expertise, the knowledge, the depth of care, and already the change in the growth of the culture at Hart Elementary. The parents were very grateful for that. So I think we're fortunate to have a tenured, experienced principal who has already gotten connections developed there and is creating a lot of goodwill for sure. So, any other comments? If there's not, I'd consider motion. So move, Mr. Mark Wheelis, second, Julie McLaughlin. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Welcome aboard, ma'am. Next is, yeah, let's do a photo. It's your birthday? Happy birthday. Welcome. All right. Item 13 is to consider an act on the formative superintendent evaluation. And might open that up for discussion or comment if anyone has anything.
You want to share the process?
Yeah, so just for the community process wise, when we review our superintendent, we go through a period of time where we go through her goals and accomplishments for the year and evaluate our track or course of action toward and our progress towards those goals. And each board member has an opportunity to make comments and rate Ms. Cordell on each of those things to benchmark that performance. We then consolidate that and discuss that as all HR matters go. We discuss that in more detail in closed session because that's where we discuss employment-related matters directly. And we then deliver a broad summary to the community through our comments and our discussion. And so that process has grown from our tenure on the board when we first, well, at least when I first came on or early on, the process was not quite as formal. It's very formal now, written and put together well so that we can, one, create the accountability that's necessary to ensure we're achieving our strategic goals in all facets. And the other is to provide feedback on the things that aren't going where we want them to go so that we can get them where we want them to go and in the manner that we want them to go there. Yeah, I mean, after we've been able to review and have discussions, then we come out and share parts of that with you all. So That's the process.
So Katie and I came on board about the same time in this role. So I've had a front row seat to see her as a leader and what we've been able to accomplish in a pretty short amount of time, in 2.5 years roughly. So I don't know that I would have believed it if I hadn't had a front row seat to see it. That's kind of how I feel about the overall process. This year is no different. We've come a long ways, but we're still making progress. We're still doing real work and making a difference for the community. I think the process and how we formalized it more over the years has also been good. There is definitely a process of accountability and being able to provide feedback in a positive way, which I think has been very good. Overall, I would say I couldn't be happier than we are with the progress we've made and what I see as a real foundation for the future. So very happy with the where we are and looking forward to seeing where we go from here.
I will start on this end for those, I'll pass this down. But the word I think about when I think about the work that's gone over the last 3 years, and I'm going to include all of that work, is grateful. The amount of time that she has put in to this district has been second to none. And I cannot be more grateful for the amount of time that she took, especially at the very beginning. I think she showed up to every single event that this school district could put on. And that was noticed. And I hope you as a community understand the amount of time that she puts into the school district and the amount of caring she has about when she thinks about a process and what to do about an issue or even a good thing. She comes up with a plan and she executes well. So I want to show gratefulness for that.
I would agree. I appreciate so much the work that Katie does and how she leads her staff forward. I think as we think about the success of the district and how we take care of kids every day, of course, it is our families. It is the parents. It is also those classroom teachers and principals. But what also adds value to student outcomes is stable, clear, consistent leadership from the top. And I think that, of course, my career has been more in corporate America. And I think that Katie's skill set around planning, around execution, around communication certainly rivals anything I've ever seen in Fortune 500 company. I appreciate most about how she receives feedback and how she is open to hear the concerns and the suggestions and the feedback of the community. I haven't been here as long as Jason, but I've certainly seen her dedication to making sure that she listens to the goals that we think are important and then puts those plans into place to execute against them.
I would like to tell you how genuine and authentic I think you are, not only in your leadership, but your personal relationships, which garners a lot of respect. You love those well, and you lead well, and you have the ability to empower people to be the best they're able to be and feel appreciated for who they are. So grateful for you.
I'll just take something that hasn't been spoken about yet and just say I'm really appreciative of the strides you've made in terms of communication, collaboration, and empowerment within the staff. Just seeing how the staff respond to you, how the students respond to you. There's a genuine trust there, and that comes from authentic leadership, has been mentioned before. So I think one of the things that you do very well is strike that artful balance between being visible and being part of the Lovejoy experience and letting everyone know that you care about all the work that they put into whatever activity it may be, but also, what happens behind the closed doors, the hard work, the hard decisions, and you've never been one to shy away from any decision. You've always been very proactive, and I'm very appreciative of that.
You gave me the easy job to go last. No, Katie, we appreciate everything you've done. I think what's opened my eyes is your willingness to take feedback on, you encourage us to give feedback behind closed doors. And then when we do have feedback, the next month or two, we'll see those changes in the board books. So I've really seen a lot of the financial information is transformed over the last 6 months. Thank you.
So I've said a few times, and I'll share again, because there's a few things that exist in leadership that are not always prevalent in school districts. And educators grow up educating, but not so much in a business world. The school district business world is not like any other business world. I've been in a couple, and you kind of have to check your common sense you use in other business worlds at the door, because it's not the same set of rules you have to operate by. And it requires a level of skillfulness that is unique. You also don't often combine the ability to have the financial capacity to solve complex problems with school finance with educational expertise and leadership. And Katie brings those things to the table at the highest level that I've experienced. Having dealt with 3 other superintendents in a very short amount of time, and then dealing with our leader now, Katie, and our team that she's pulled together, it's been exceptional. We've had some real financial challenges that we've had to overcome. And with school funding, we'll have more. There's no doubt. Those challenges are mounting for every school district. Lovejoy's in a great place to endure those because of that leadership and work that's been done. So as we go through her review, there are 5 or 6 segments that we go through that we granularly break down based on the goals. And collectively, the review in a formative fashion reflected collectively from all the board members that we're doing a proficient to exceptional job in every area thus far. So we got more work to do, and there's no doubt, and we don't stop climbing mountains in this business. And so we're looking forward to next steps. And I obviously could echo all the comments everyone else had. Leadership was one of the highest things we wanted when we hired a superintendent. We had to have a genuine leader, because we hadn't had, well, I don't want to go there, but we needed genuine leadership, and I think that tells the story. So we've got that, and we're developing more genuine leaders through this process. And I see some of that culture shift translating into our community as well, which is thrilling to see. Unless there's other comments, we would need to accept the formative evaluation as presented. So who said that? Mark. So move Julie McLaughlin, second. Mark Wheelis, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right. Item 14 is consider and possible action regarding the recommendation of the superintendent to notice a proposed termination and suspension without pay of the probationary contract of James Brown for good cause pursuant to public policies, DFAA legal, DFAA local, and the Texas Education Code.
This evening, we are recommending consideration and possible action regarding the recommendation of myself, the superintendent, to notice of proposed termination and suspension without pay of the probationary contract of James Charles Brown for good cause pursuant to board policies DFAA legal, DFAA local, and Texas Education Code 21.104.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion that the board approve the recommendation of the superintendent as presented to send notice of the proposed termination and suspension without pay of the employment of the probationary contract of James Charles Brown for good cause pursuant to board policies DFAA legal, DFAA local, and the Texas Education Code 21.104. So moved, Jason James. Second, Jeff Wood. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Item 15 is consider and act on the calling of a school trustee general election for May 4th, 2024. Ms. Taylor.
that the board approves our general election for us to contract with the city of Collin County for our election on May 4th, 2024. And we have two positions up on the ballot, which is place 6 and 7, President Owens and Trustee James. If you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Would you all like to call an election? So moved Jeff Woods, second Amy Smith. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 16, consider an act on the 24-25 innovative course recommendation. Dr. Tinsley.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Mullen to come back up. As she mentioned, the state has undergone a refresh of the 24-25 CTE programming and courses. And as you recall, the Drone Unmanned Flight Regional Program of Study is now a state program, and it has renamed Pilots and Aviation Operations. So we are requesting that the board approve introduction of aerospace and aviation, and it's a level 1 course. Just a reminder, this does tie into our strategic planning, where we are increasing opportunities for students obtaining industry certifications, which ties under strategic target 5.1. And according to our board policy, EHBJ legal, the Board of Trustees is required to approve any innovative courses at least 6 months prior to the introduction of the course. Mary's going to share a little more about the actual career cluster that this course falls under.
As mentioned earlier, this is part of the refresh, this program of study, and it does fall under transportation, distribution, and logistics. The end of course certificate is the FFA Part 107 Remote Drone Pilot License. The course is Introduction to Aerospace and Aviation. In this course, the students will be learning, it's a foundational course for exploration in the field of aviation, aerospace engineering, unmanned aircraft systems. They'll learn the history of aviation, innovations and technological developments that have made today's aviation aerospace industry possible. It will include engineering practices and design processes, and even some space exploration. Why drones? Drones are becoming more and more popular. There's a growing demand by business and the government due to the numerous advantages. Some I have listed here. The industry is projected to grow by 62% by the year 2030. And it crosses over numerous businesses and industries, and I have some listed there for you. And according to the Unmanned Safety Institute, over 100,000 new jobs will be created by, and this is only 1 year away now, 2025, it seems like forever, but no, it's next year, with starting salaries as high as $85,000 for remote pilots. And remember, the IBC that the students will be taking this spring is for a remote pilot license. And global unmanned aerial vehicle market is valued at currently $56.7 billion as of 2021, and it's estimated to reach a valuation of $106.03 billion by 2030. What are the student opportunities? So if the students complete this pathway, their last year, their senior year, we would hope that they would complete a work-based learning opportunity somewhere in aviation services, maybe a drone company they could work for, an airline company. They could also fly the drones at the sporting events if that was permitted once they're certified. Post-secondary opportunities, are listed there too.
Introduction to Unmanned Aerial Vehicles, UAV.
Well, go ahead.
because the state made some changes to the program of study, Mary, you want to talk about the difference in that?
This is a very foundational course with the changes in the programs. It would be something now that the state is approved for a complete program of study. If the students want to participate, they would first take this introductory course. Then aerospace engineering is the second course. The next one is introduction to the drone class. So that is a level 3 course. And that's where they would complete their certification. And then we would hope their senior year, they would take what we call a practicum, work-based learning experience.
On that, have we gotten into that practicum piece as to who those industry partners might become?
I'm the teacher that has been teaching both aerospace and the drone class this year, has already spoken. Southwest Airlines said they would love to partner with us. So we didn't even approach anybody yet, but they've already mentioned it.
Southwest's been after us for a while.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see aviation in the school. The demand for pilots is extremely high. And
yes, it is.
as a pilot, I also appreciate the safety aspects of our kids learning how to responsibly fly a drone.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've had drones in my flight path that aren't supposed to be there. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah. Our teacher did attend for a full week in Oklahoma, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association training.
Was that Miss Gaddy?
Yes.
Yeah.
She'll be attending the level 2 course this year also.
She is committed to this process. I've actually taken her flying and flown approaches with her to help her understand how that actually happens in the air.
Yes.
So it's been pretty impressive, her commitment to that.
Yes, it is.
In the construction industry, we use them for almost, like you said, daily. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for our kids. Great opportunity. So we need approval for this. So we would need to make a motion to approve this if we think it's a good idea to offer it.
I move we consider an act on the 2024-2025 innovative course recommendation.
So move to approve, Amy. Second, who was that? Mark Wheelis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is item 17. Ms. McLaughlin, would you give us an update on our board legislative?
Yes, sir. So I have a typo in my first line. That should say that the 4th special legislative session concluded on December 5th. We spoke about that at the most recent board meeting. No bills for school finance, teacher pay, or school safety were passed. Neither were any bills related to a voucher program. Maybe just in the news is we did have a visit from Governor Abbott here locally in Lucas. I attended, and in his remarks, he did reiterate his priorities surrounding creating an education savings account program. As of Friday, when this was published, we do not have any indication on if they will be calling a 5th special session. And so we begin looking ahead to the next regular session of the legislature, which would be scheduled to begin about a year from now, January 14th of 2025. So since we do not have an active legislative session in progress at the moment, we decided we would talk about just some different legislative topics that we could discuss as a board in the off season, so to speak. And so one of the things that we hear from parents pretty often is, how can we get involved? You know, what can we do? How can we plug in? And so in addition to calling your legislative reps and communicating your priorities that way, one of the most important things that we can do as community members and parents is to vote. And so local elections typically have lower turnout, which means that your vote is ever that much more important with regarding electing those representatives that make the decisions both at the legislature level and at the State Board of Education that impact what we do here in Lovejoy every day. And so for that, we would like to encourage our Lovejoy community to see that you are registered to vote, and if you are, that you will vote. So here's some voting information for you. Our our spring election dates. The first one will be a primary that'll be held on Tuesday, March 5th. The deadline to register to vote is coming up here soon in about 2 weeks, and that will be on Monday, February 5th. The primary could potentially go to runoff, and if it does, then there'll be another voter registration on Monday, April 29th. Following that, I think we just called the general election here for the district, but there'll also be a general election for any other locally elected office on Saturday, May 4th, and you would need to be registered to vote by Thursday, April 4th. I know there are many voter resources out there. I just selected one. I certainly don't say that it's the only one available or that we endorse everything on that website. But one is called vote411.org. On that, you can check to see that you are registered to vote. You can find out how to register to vote, and you can also look up an example ballot that you may see at the ballot box. Any other comments?
Any questions for Ms. McLaughlin? All right, thank you very much. Next up is item 18, to open a public hearing on the 2022-23 Texas Academic Performance Report, TAPER.
No public comments regarding the public hearing.
Okay.
Thank you. Our Texas Education Code lays out, we are required to hold a public meeting hearing each year with the release of the TAPER report. The TAPER report that you were provided a couple of weeks ago for the district and for each campus includes the following information. It provides our academic performance information, which is our STAR and end of course assessments. Also includes our PEIMS financial standard report, the district accreditation status, and our campus performance objectives, report on incidences, criminal or violent incidents on campuses, student performance in post-secondary institution, and also progress toward board adopted House Bill 3 goals that you've approved. And then there's a glossary included as well too. So it's currently posted on the district's website. All of the TAPER reports are. They are available at the district central office, and a hard copy will be provided on each campus once this public hearing is closed. So if the public has any questions about the TAPER, any of the TAPER reports, they may contact myself or the campus principals. What is different this year, as in past years, we did receive our school rating. But because of the recent legislation with the lawsuit against the state, because of the accountability system, we did not receive a rating. And so at this time, the state TEA has not notified districts as when to expect that rating. So what you'll find, I have linked the district report, the high school, Willow, Sloan Creek, Hart, and Pester. So just some things just to kind of lift out about some performance of our students. And we shared this data with you earlier in the year when we received the preliminary results. Some things we want to lift up is that we did see an increase on our students' math performance in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. We saw a jump in 6th grade reading, and then 8th grade social studies, which is an area we have been focusing on for growth. We did see a slight dip in reading in grades 3, 4, and 5. However, the test changed to where students were required to provide a written constructive response, which I think districts across the state saw that dip because of the change in the format of the test. Also, we saw, I just want to lift up that our Willow Springs Middle School Algebra 1, we had 95% of our students meet mastery, which is incredible. Some of the data that is lagging data is the attendance, the dropout rates, the graduation rates, and of course CCMR. So that goes back to 21, 22.
Any questions for Ms. Tinsley?
Is there any information on the report that we're going to be able to utilize? Do we need to change any of the programs we're offering or change something to get better results?
You know, we stayed pretty steady in all areas. Certainly, there's always areas for growth in what we do. We use that within the curriculum department to look at those gaps that we may have that we want to see increase. And our principals use that information as well, too. So I would say that we're continuing wanting to look at our social studies and also in the area of reading where some of the format of the testing changed. We are working with our staff on the new written responses that are required.
And once we get those ratings, I'm assuming you'll promptly update us with that information.
Correct. Yes, be happy to.
To confirm, there's no questions or comments, Rodrigo?
Confirming, I still have not received any public comments related to the public hearing.
Or any other questions? All right. Public hearing closed. Item 21 is the budget workshop number 2.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Cordell. Tonight, we're going to share some financial information pertinent to the development of the 24-25 budget. First, by going through and providing you an update on where we believe we're going to end the 23-24 fiscal year. We did share earlier in the consent agenda the budget amendment number 3, which will reflect these estimates where we think we're going to end. And I'll go through some of those and then also review some of the revenue that we're seeing for the current year and then how that will impact and influence how we approach going forward into the 24 and 25 year. And then kind of walk through our kind of enrollment assumptions and some of the challenges that those assumptions are portraying within our financial statements or our financial projections. And then review the timeline of kind of next steps for the next budget workshops and the work that Cabinet's doing to get to that point. So when we take a look at the fiscal projections for the 23-24 year, some of the main drivers here is that we're recognize some of the payroll variance, the favorability there due to some of the unfilled positions. So in budget amendment 1 in October, we did capture some from July 1st through October 31st. So now in this one, we are capturing from November 1st through December 31st. So this will continue to grow if the positions that we have right now are maintained unfilled. So we'll capture that each month as we move forward. Right now, an unfavorable variance, and we'll review a little bit more, is the transportation fees. So we're adjusting that budget by $61,000. But then a favorability to kind of help offset that is that we're seeing an increase in our investment income due to the cash management that we've been doing over the past few months. So when we look at our transportation fees, overall, we billed for transportation roughly $539,000, but we budgeted for $599,805. The budget anticipated that we'd have 1,333 paying riders at the $450 annual rate. But what we're actually seeing as far as pay riders to date is roughly 1,200. Within the budget, we did anticipate that we'd have exempt riders. So the exempt riders are due to a family cap. So any families with more than 2 children that are riding the bus are exempt from the 450. And then anyone with an economic hardship or like special education. What we're actually seeing is 172, we have 172 riders that are exempt. So that's why we're capturing and showing that we will be about 61,000 less. So the difference between the two bars, the 479 and the 58,000, the 479 represents what we've collected to date through the end of December, and the 58 is still a receivable that's due to the district. We fully anticipate that we'll collect the entire amount for that. As it relates to facility rentals, a positive note, we budgeted 175,000, and we through December have already collected 175,000. This is more than double than what we collected last year from July 1 to December 31st. Right now we haven't recognized any additional revenue from this to offset the deficit for the 23-24 budget, but we do anticipate if we double the second semester, that could be 260,000. We collected last year in the second semester 130,000. We do believe that with the increased facility rentals comes with increased cost. What's not captured in here is we are seeing some increased custodial costs, security costs, and things of that nature. So we'll capture that as we gain more revenue in the second semester. So the importance for this as we think about for the 24-25 is that we're going to adjust our assumptions on the facility rentals and do a deep dive and see if we believe that we can keep this consistent, and then maybe even exploring the popularity of it, of looking at different options of, what other things can we do to increase the visibility of the openings, and potentially do we have an opportunity to look at some of the rental rates and make increases there. But then with the transportation revenue, we'll probably have to adjust that down a little bit and look at it and see the ridership and what that looks like in the future. So the enrollment, a lot of these assumptions we've shared in the previous budget workshop, so nothing has changed much here. 2% overall inflation, both on the payroll side and the supplies and materials. We're going to dive into the enrollment and go through the assumptions here, and then discuss next steps as it relates to enrollment and engaging with the demographer. We're maintaining an assumption of the 95.6% attendance rate, even though we're seeing improvement so far to date in our attendance. And then we're maintaining the kind of the contingency of the fixed 300,000. And again, still zero increase of state funding. So when we take a look at our enrollment here, what we try to show and reflect is a breakout of the three different components of our enrollment. So the larger bar is just residents only. So we can see here, what we did is we just took a real conservative approach and just aged all of our students up, and then maintaining the same level of kindergartners that we currently have, because we've seen consistently over the past few years, our kindergarten enrollment's been pretty consistent. But we have more outgoing seniors than we do incoming kindergartners. So you can see that drop in our residents from 3618 and over the next 2 years to 3020. We took the similar approach of just aging up on our staff students as well. And then also took the same approach as aging up with our scholars. We're not making any assumptions that we're going to add any new scholars, but we did make an assumption that not only are we aging them up, but we're probably going to lose a 10%. We have a 10% attrition rate with our scholars. So our overall enrollment, you can see, is going to drop almost 700 students over the next 2 years in this very conservative approach. So our next steps are we have engaged the demographer again, and hopefully to be able to provide additional information on new constructions and kind of the birth rates and things like that. And we're working with him to compare, looking at this year as far as the new homes that were built in the district, and tying that back to our student enrollment to see if the yield rates were actually what we had projected. So we hope to be able to bring in the February board workshop an updated enrollment projection based off the work we're doing with them. So here's the results of just from the enrollment side and the impact that enrollment will have to our overall budget, all else equal as far as the expense side outside of just the inflationary increase. So you can see, but we knew this was coming. We knew that in 25 and 26 that we're going to have large deficit budgets. So we started this work back in 2022, where we looked for all opportunities for revenues and grant opportunities like ESSER supplemental to help support the general fund. A lot of the work that cabinet has done and the principals have done to find efficiencies within our departmental budgets. So in 2022, we ended the year with a $2.4 million surplus. And then last year we ended with the 5.2 to put us in the healthy 158 days of operating expenses and fund balance. So even with all the hard work that we've done, this will get us to next year as is with only 106 days. So what we're doing to kind of help navigate through that challenge is that the cabinet over the next couple of weeks, we're going to come together, and here's the big picture timeline. And we're going to really do a deep dive into all of our expenses, all of our programs, and look at our cost assumptions and do a program assessment and cost analysis on those programs, look at our master schedules and see what opportunities we have to adjust our master schedules to bring operating efficiencies. And part of the February board workshop, we're going to also finalize the enrollment projections and see where that lies. And then in March, we're going to do a deep dive into our revenue assumptions again, look at our investment income, project out based off of what we anticipate our cash flow to be, to see if we can accurately project our annual interest earnings, look at our fee assumptions, and then also look at other considerations. What other opportunities does the district have to bring in additional revenue to kind of help offset the deficit in 24-25? We're also looking into this not from just a single 24-25 budgeting. We're looking at this as a 2-year budget. As we go into the cabinet as a leadership team, we really want to do a deep dive and figure out how we're solving for this deficit challenge over the next 2 years and not just in a single year. So we'll be bringing forth that plan on how we want to move forward with that over the next couple of months in the budget workshop. That is all that I have for you. Any questions?
Is part of the plan also going to be able to figure out how we can get student enrollment up? I mean, at the end of the day, you can only cut so many costs. It's all driven by students.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have those conversations to figure out as we engage with the demographer and internally with the cabinet to discuss kind of other options as it relates to increasing enrollment.
Remind me about the assumptions for 25, 26, this property tax suit that we're in, is that the impact of that property tax suit by the state against us in here? When they said we undervalued the real estate?
Yeah, that doesn't play in until the FY26 year. So the importance of the property value study and being within that 5% interval is important for this year, just because of the 2 year, you have to
Yeah.
have 2 consecutive years. So what we're really going to be focused on is the result of that, but then also the property value study that will occur again in the 25 tax year, which is fiscal.
So that would be
year 24.
reflected in a 27 number,
It will,
if it were impactful to us.
if it were impactful to us, it would be reflective in the 26 number.
26 number, okay.
And just point of order, you said we undervalued the real estate. I think you meant Collin County Appraisal District allegedly undervalued the
According to
real
the
estate.
state
Right.
comptroller.
It's not something we did.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Thanks for clarifying that, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I don't think I have any other. Thank you very much. All right, item 22 is the cabinet reports.
So during the recent board workshop, I shared some updates with you on our their AV and audiovisual projects that we have going on. And I'm going to ask John Korb to come and share more details on that with you. But just as a reminder, the board approved $500,000 of bond funds last spring so that we could make some improvements in some of our areas that we had some challenges with, the boardroom being one of those. Even though our mics are not working tonight, we'll get those corrected. So to date, we have encumbered about a little over $465,000 of the projects. The priority locations were the competition gym at the high school, the commons cafeteria area, Sloan Creek cafeteria, the boardroom, and then the auditorium. So we have completed the first 2. Right now, as we speak, the cafeteria at Sloan is underway, hopefully just in time for all the banquets that are coming up. And the boardroom, we're making some adjustments, and then auditorium scheduled for January 29th to begin. So I'm going to hand it over to John.
Yes, thank you. I am thankful my evaluation wasn't this evening. So when talking about the enhancements, the first one I'd like to highlight is the LHS Commons area. You'll notice that the screens, there we have 4 located throughout the Commons area in the cafeteria. These are used to display information related to student events, student content, as well as there's a centralized control of that so that we can distribute information. We can actually take these boards over in the event of emergency and broadcast specific information during that time as well. So we're piloting that as potentially as something that can be utilized at different locations throughout the district and managed centrally when we do that. So we're really excited about those boards. Please take a moment, notice the content when you guys are over there. They look sharp. They'll actually be displaying some of the robotics content at the event this weekend. The LHS competition gym, for those of you that have spent some time in the competition gym, you'll notice that the sound was very spotty in occasions, and there are places in the gym where you sit where you didn't get good audio coverage. To solve that, what we did was design an audio array. So you'll notice these sets of 3 speakers throughout the home side of the stadium, and it's got some great sound there now. So really excited. Actually had one of our fine arts teachers had a little tear when she was like, I've been here for years and it sounds awesome. So we're really excited about that. Along with that is some control mechanisms, including a rack that you'll see there that helps them to integrate different types of sound into the system. The boardroom, as was mentioned in a previous slide, we're still in process on this. We did the install over Christmas break, but one of the key components there was dead on arrival. So we did the install and it was actually not functioning. And it's really key to helping us control a lot of the different inputs coming in the system. So we've been working around and we've been making it the past couple of board meetings. That did arrive. I was notified that did arrive today. So we should have somebody in tomorrow coming in to actually get that installed, and hopefully won't have the mic issues that we had this evening. Thank you guys for being flexible. No problem. Well, not last, but Sloan Creek is now currently in process. What we did at Sloan Creek was there were 3 speakers for the entire cafeteria, essentially. So 3 speakers that covered the entire area, and we had a lot of poor sound in that area. So what we've done is designed an array. We've covered the entire ceiling with speakers. So you'll get good coverage at our events within that cafe. We've also replaced the projector so that you can see images now, as well as we sync that with the 2 video boards on either side of the stage. So you'll have a much better visual coming through. There's small things that are kind of happening in the background on all of these. We're improving wall plates. We're hiding some things that were potentially out in the open that didn't really need to be out in the open. We're putting them in just a little bit tucked away, less accessible. So those are the enhancements there. And coming on the 29th, we've got the auditorium, which is a really big project. We're excited about that.
Thank you. So happy to see all these things improved for our kids so they can be heard for what they do. Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening again. So for the finance update, we just have a quick update on our tax collections. As you know, December and January are a heavy tax collection month. So for the month of December, we collected over $20 million, which puts us at roughly 23.7 million. This represents roughly 48.15% of our 2023 tax levy. This is slightly down from last year. Last year, we had collected roughly almost 51%. So about 2%, a little over 2% less than what we collected last year. So we do have a remaining levy of roughly 21.3 to collect. Then going back here, as far as a summary, between the two investment accounts on the M&O side, the general fund, we did earn 61,000 in interest revenue for the month. And then on the debt service side, we earned 24,000. We did end the month with 191 days of cash on hand in the general fund. And then as far as the student nutrition update, we are seeing through the end of December, we do have a slight decrease in overall student nutrition participation. It's only 0.7% down, which is resulting in a drop in our overall revenue year over year. The number of serving days are roughly the same through the end of December, so not much change there. The revenue impact is mainly due to participation. We still do believe that we will end the year from an operating expense and revenue probably slightly favorable. I know we just in the consent agenda approved, as far as student nutrition, the use of the fund balance that was tied to the previous approval of the kitchen equipment purchase. But Matt and I will be doing a deep dive in the next week or two to understand kind of where our expenses are projecting and what we can reasonably project as far as continued participation throughout the rest of the year. So that way we can have a good sense on where we believe student nutrition will end. And if we can contribute any, again, for the second year in a row, if we can contribute any indirect towards the general fund. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
What was the rule on the student nutrition? Are we allowed to make a profit? Is it 1 year or 2 years or some kind of rule on there? So we
Yeah,
see
there's
what
a
we can
rule that
allocate?
we can only hold 90 days of fund balance month to month. So that's the only restriction we have. So we can approve and operate under a surplus budget, so long as we're not at the end of the year exceeding that 90 days. If we do exceed that 90 days, we do have to present to TDA our plan of action on how we're going to spend it down to keep it at 90 days.
That's why you would allocate different costs to it.
That's correct, yes.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm going to give you a little bit of a communications update. As most of you, I don't know if you're aware of this, in our communications department, we are working on a publication. It's called Who We Are, just sharing some of the great things that are going on in Lovejoy, accolades, but also demographics, test scores, all those types of things. So as we were getting into that, I wanted to share something that was just received, and I'm the lucky one that gets to talk about this. Our high school just received the U.S. News and World Report's one of the best high schools in traditional setting. This award, and so we'll be giving this to our high school. We're hoping to display it over here, though, but wanted to share that with you. And as I was reading how they won and received this award and the distinction, that there's an overall national ranking criteria there. And I'm going to read this because this was pretty in-depth. 30% was college readiness, and what that did, and this tells you the amount of work our kids do, is the number of students in 12th grade that took an AP test. And it's that number and those that had earned a qualifying score of 3 or more. Okay, so that was number one. Number two was what they call the CCBI. And it was 12th graders who took exams and earned a qualifying score of 4 AP content areas for full credit. So that means 3 or more. And then they do give partial credit that if they didn't get a 3. So thinking about all the students that are taking AP courses was unbelievable. Number three, 20% was state assessment proficiency, and it just measures student proficiency subjects related to math, reading, and science. So pretty typical of our STAR scores. Number 4 was 20%, and this was interesting. The ranking is derived from the math, reading, and science, but also the total assessment scores are compared with what the U.S. News and World Reports predicted for a school with the same demographic characteristics. So that's how well we scored with like schools. 5 was underserved student performance, and that was, of course, students that are, as I said, underserved, minority students, low SES, low social economic students there. So that was that. And then graduation rate, and that was students that entered in 2017, 18, and graduated within 4 years. So all those things is what is the way that we received this. So it's very, very impressive as we started digging into those. Some of the other parts of this publication, we're going to put that in there, but we're also just wanted to share some of the other things that are happening that we're going to be putting in this publication. We'll be sharing with the community and the public. 312 advanced placement scholars, 18 national merit commended Scott students, national merit semifinalists, 6, all these types of things. And those are academic achievements. We were also looking at just kind of at a glance, top 1% of school districts in the nation in Texas by niche 2024, best communities for music education, platinum AP honor roll, access awards. This year, Travis has assured me we are winning the Lone Star Cup. We're over 10 points ahead, almost, yes. So, but in the top, we have been in the top 5 in the last 4 years. So also very impressive. Other information, we'll have fine art celebrations in there. We'll have years at a glance in there, just all different types of information we'll be sharing with you, but wanted to kind of give you a sneak peek in our community, a sneak peek of what's happening in the district. So super excited to share that with you.
Good evening. Just a couple of things from the student services part of the district. I'm sure you know, but this week is our Lovejoy High School musical production, which will be held this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, please do so. All shows will be at 7 o'clock in the LHS auditorium. I know there's been a lot of hard work, and the kids are really eager to be able to put on this production for everybody. So it should be a great show. And I wanted to really give a big shout out to our transportation department. As you guys know, it's been really cold in the mornings, and this morning especially, even some precipitation too. Last Tuesday, when it was extremely cold, wind chills below 0, we had 100% of our drivers show up. It would have been really easy for them to say, you know what, I'm taking this one off. I'm staying under the covers. And every one of them showed up to be able to get our kids to school that morning. And even this morning, we only had one, she was under the weather, who didn't show up, but it was cold, it was raining. And if you ever get an opportunity to come over there and visit with them, it's just a great group of people that they love what they do, and they enjoy being around each other. So I just wanted to give a big thank you to our transportation department and everybody over there who contributes to getting our kids to and from school each day very safely.
Good evening. So it's, it's been cold when it's 40 degrees outside and the air conditioner tries to pop on. So if you got cold a little bit ago, I apologize. Amy, I saw you kind of doing one of these. So I turned it off. But to echo Kevin's shout out to transportation, it has been really cold. And we've had a lot of staff behind the scenes doing lots of things to protect our buildings, our outbuildings, our main buildings. And so you'll never see them doing it. You'll never hear them talking about it. But we have a whole army of people that take a lot of pride in our district, in our facilities, and they want to make sure they do everything they can to protect that. So just some quick updates. Speaking of people taking pride, our custodial staff saw a need over at Sloan Creek. If you'll see that photo on the left, you'll see the before. That's the competition gym floor at Sloan Creek. They didn't want us to contract this out. They were insistent that they did it in-house. And so we ordered the product, and they took it upon themselves to refinish that floor. And that photo you see on the right-hand side is the after. And so it's pretty impressive. That's not what they've been trained in. That's not their primary skill set. nor is it their primary responsibility. But again, that level of pride they have is echoed in those photos. And of course, the kids, the coaches, the staff were really excited to come back and see the finished product. Those same teammates were those that were out there early in the morning last Tuesday, whenever we got ready to bring. Actually, they were in the buildings Monday early when it was really cold, walking the buildings, doing assessments, making sure that we didn't have any pipes that were exposed or that were leaking. And then they were up there bright and early again Tuesday, ready for kids and staff. Just as a precautionary measure, they put sand and salt down on the sidewalks just to make sure that we were ready for our kiddos and our staff. So big shout out to them. This is a project that you guys approved back before Christmas. This is a shot over at Puster. Puster had the big playground area back there that was partially fenced. And so what's unique about Puster is there's a fire lane that runs between the playground area and the building. So now they've got a nice newly constructed fence that will help contain those kiddos when they're running and playing and having fun, and they don't find themselves out in the middle of the fire lane whenever they're out having a good time at recess. And then this is a shot of our grounds building. I don't know if you've ever been in this space, but if you have, you probably don't recognize it. So from about where the guys on the left-hand side of that photo are standing all the way over to the far right-hand side where you see the tall shelves, that was a storage area for some items that have been in there for quite some time. So it wasn't really a good usable space. And so as a result, the team would have to load and unload their trailers every day when they came in. They would have to unload all their equipment. And then each morning they would have to reload all their equipment back on their trailers to go out and start working our grounds. So now at night they can back those loaded trailers in and simply unhook and not have to use all of the labor and time involved to unload and reload. And it gives them a secure area to back those trailers and leave them overnight out of the weather. So they were really proud of that space. It took them quite some time to sort through and get all that cleaned up, but they're really happy with the end result. And then this is a shot of George. So Casey and his team, and I'm not going to get into the details tonight. This is just a preview of what's to come. But one of the things that they're really working towards right now is adding a drone to their tactical task force. So this will be a tactical drone that will be trained in. He will actually have a license once this process is over, so that if we needed to go into an area to do surveillance, we've got that ability. We don't have to wait on someone to show up. We'll have that here inside the district to utilize as a resource. Big gatherings like football games, parades, or if we have something at the campus where we need to go in and do some investigation. And then this last shot is the guys, and they like to go over to Texas Legends Gun Range in Allen anytime they get a chance. So as soon as they came back off the Christmas break, they wanted to go back over and kind of sharpen up their skills. So this is a shot of them over there doing that. And that's all I have, and I would love to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thanks for not shutting the school down last Tuesday like a lot of the other districts did. So I know my kids were hoping for a snow day, but the roads were fine at our house.
I know we had some fun conversations at our house. I know Katie had some fun conversations at her house with her kiddos in relation to shut down, to not shut down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Cordell, Superintendent Report.
Thank you. I'll segue off of that. My children told me on the evening of January 15th when I was tucking them in bed that I made a really bad decision. They didn't like that we were going to school, but I do want to thank the transportation team, the maintenance and operation and custodial group. Absolutely phenomenal care. I don't know that people realize all of the things that they do behind the scenes. The reason we were able to have school on Tuesday, the 16th, was because of the amount of time that they put into that. Our custodial team was actually up here working on the holiday, January 15th, that Monday, and putting salt down. And then they just go absolutely above and beyond the next day when things ended up not icing. They did not want our students and staff to have to walk through all of that salt. So they came up early and they cleared all the walkways again. So their love and care is unbelievable. They were there early that morning, checking the building. I know Sergio was over here when admin started to arrive in this building. He had already checked everything and was giving a report that everything was operational. And so we don't take for granted that we are able to have school for our kids because of their hard work. I know transportation, our mechanic Eric was up at 4 a.m., I think, starting all those buses and getting them warmed up and running. So, and we could go into countless other stories, but those people work behind the scenes each and every day to make sure our kids and our staff is able to have a great experience learning and focus on the learning at hand. And we are deeply grateful for that. And then last Thursday, we were very excited to kick off our capital planning committee and bring some of our community members back together, our parents, our staff, to start talking about some of the capital needs of the district. I'm excited about those conversations and what those will help us do in terms of strategic planning in those areas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cordell. No announcements tonight. We'd be adjourned. Oh, hang on, we're not adjourned. I'm just kidding. No public comments? What's your comment? Now that was just a trial run on adjourning. Now we're adjourned.